Hello again, and thanks for tuning in. There was a suspected, and I use the word suspected, Munich attacker named today as somebody who drove into a group of people. Originally, it came out as a car ramming. I'm taking this headline direct from BBC News website. Suspected Munich attacker named locally as counter-terrorism police take over the investigation. And it looks as if officers are treating the incident as a suspected attack. The suspect was known to police for theft and various drug offences. So here we are again with another suspected terrorist attack. Now, this type of stuff is happening relatively frequently. There's been 4 major incidents in Germany over the past 6 months. It's almost coming up for a major attack happening in Germany every month or so. Not quite there yet, but it's certainly approaching that way. There was, in Essen, what was labelled as a domestic incident. There was the Christmas market, there was a stabbing beside a kindergarten, and now this car ramming. Outside of that, around Europe, there is a lot of other stuff going on. So the report that I saw said that in France there's 120 knife attacks per day. And there's various other despicable crimes going on alongside those violent attacks. In Sweden, they're having daily, it almost seems, I haven't looked at the precise figures for that, but they are having bombing in Sweden at a rate never seen before. And of course, bombing was never a thing until recently in Sweden. So we've got bombs going off with disturbing regularity in Sweden. We've got knife attacks and all sorts of other disgusting, despicable crimes going on in France. We've got these attacks happening with regularity in Germany, it would seem, outside of the terrible events that have happened recently in the UK. So what's actually going on here? Where do we stand with the topic? Can we call it social cohesion? Is that belittling what it is? Is it just outright terrorism in Europe? Social cohesion doesn't really apply the right label to it. But regardless of that, there's something going on in our societies. Now, it's not necessarily about different backgrounds, but whether it's culture, whether it's ethnicity, religion, socio-economic status, respect for one another, there is something going on. Now, European societies have long brought immigration and attempted to foster diversity. But this multicultural challenge, as I've addressed in another video, multiculturalism is the belief that cultures can just live together and get along. That there doesn't really need to be a prevalent culture, and that everything can just mesh together perfectly and we can live in these harmonious kumbaya societies. But I would put it to you that recent events are calling that into question. The term multiculturalism will eventually, I believe, fade out of existence as it becomes blindingly obvious that it's a failed experiment, especially when it comes to integration. If you have areas of perhaps higher immigrant populations, there is an increase in tensions and disparities. And that could be down to access to opportunities, education, jobs, that sort of thing. It could just be differences in culture. But regardless of that, Europe has witnessed a rise in terrorist attacks, many of them carried out by individuals. Now, why do these individuals carry out these attacks? Is it terror? Have they just been radicalised online? Are they marginalised from society? Do they live in enclaves where they perhaps don't speak to anybody of the country in which they've decided to settle? And what exactly radicalises these individuals? I mean, these acts are barbaric. The acts of such a horrific nature as to be antithetical to normal human thought. I can't imagine the state that some people are in, the radicalised state that some people are in, where they feel the need to drive a car into a crowd of people, including women, children, men, babies in prams. Where does this start? How do these people even exist? Now, it is a phenomenon of homegrown terrorism. A lot of these perpetrators of terrorist attacks in Europe were born and raised in Europe, and that needs to be borne in mind. They're not all immigrants. Sometimes there's a terrorist attack and the person was born in that country, although a majority are from first-generation immigrants or perhaps second-generation immigrants. Whatever it is, these people are certainly alienated from our society, and they want to exact some sort of revenge on Western civilization or Western societies in general. Now, the security services do quite a good job of catching this stuff, apparently, although we're not told exactly how that works. We're told that these plots get foiled all of the time, and we should be thankful for these security services. But these lone wolf attacks, how is it even possible? How is it even possible for security services to keep up with this? It's not. These attacks are increasing in frequency. They are getting worse as time goes on. And our media seems unable to understand how to effectively report on it, what they should say about it, and how they make people feel after it. Now, I'm going to put an ex-post I saw on the screen here from a lady called Bushra Sheikh. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And if you look at the wording of this, I think it speaks volumes as to attitudes of people who are in our media who don't seem to understand the damage that these things do to our societies. So, upsetting details. Well, upsetting is a way to describe it. Certainly I get upset at things. For instance, if, my Amazon parcel gets left outside and stolen, could that be classed as slightly upsetting? Well, yes, I'd be slightly upset about that. Perhaps it was an upsetting thing, but driving a car into a crowd of people doesn't really sum up. The word upsetting doesn't really sum that up. So details are emerging of 28 injured in a Munich attack by 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker known to police. So there's the first thing, known to police. Are the police partly responsible for not picking this person up? My thoughts are with those affected and seriously injured in this awful incident, as are all ours. Harming people is never acceptable. However, now there's the word, isn't it? However. That's like when you're telling your children off and you go, look, it's okay to do that, but, or however. What they're really saying is everything before that word, however, was just a preemptory bit of calm yourself down. I'm just going to write a few things here and then I'm really going to give you my opinion. So, however, Germany really needs to get a grip with its increasing demonization of Muslims, ethnic minorities and migrants. With the racist AfD party on the rise, unfortunately, a symptom of such hate often results in hate. So is that a justification for an attack? Is a political party saying things, does that necessarily correlate and result in people driving a car into a group of people where children are in pushchairs? No. That statement there is a disgusting indictment of the state of our media, that this person should be on television and be allowed to preach this garbage is incredible. It's got nothing to do with Germany. It's got nothing to do with the AfD party. It's got nothing at all to do with any of that. A young man, a 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker, was radicalised, potentially online, and he believed that his best course of action was to drive a car into a group of people, including small children in prams, women, people. There's no justification for that. There's no justification at all. It's just a disgusting, barbaric act. That's all there is to say. There's no however. This young man done that, however. And that there, I think, is a great summation of our media at the moment. So what's to be done? What are we going to do? Well, unfortunately, the truth is, we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do the normal, don't look back in anger. And then in a week's time, we'll forget about this and we'll move on. However, my fear within all of this is that this doesn't go to anywhere good. If these attacks keep increasing in frequency, then this is going to create an extremely febrile atmosphere. An atmosphere of distrust. And we will see a rise in hate, and that hate will then become a self-fulfilling prophecy as it feeds into itself. Our governments who've created this situation need to come up with solutions. If they don't, and I have a feeling that they don't have the capacity, the will, or the intelligence to do so, these attacks are going to continue, and the people of all of these nations are going to become more and more and more angry. This is a situation that needs to be avoided. The people in power need to do something, but you just get the feeling that the people in power don't really care about fixing this problem. They just want us to forget about it and move back to GDP and other things that they want to get on the agenda. Anyway, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Goodbye.